Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Rubio's speech was a pure appeal to Western culture. My favorite part was when he said that American cowboys came from Spain.
I thought they came from Winnetou, but
I believe the Mexicans and descendants of African enslaved peoples would like to have a word on that.
What kind of word on it? That was, ladies and gentlemen, a New York representative, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, displaying her foreign policy charm offensive in Munich, Germany. She was wrong about that and many other things. Welcome to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. Carlos, would you mind just one more time? Let's play that clip again, please.
Rubio's speech was a pure appeal to Western culture. My favorite part was when he said that American cowboys came from Spain.
I thought they came from Winnetou, but
I believe the Mexicans and descendants of African enslaved peoples would like to have a word on that.
Yes, because all the enslaved African Americans were out cowboying while they were enslaved. And the Mexicans, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, Miss Cortez, I believe, must have gone to public school. Did she? Maybe she didn't. Was it because if this is private education, we need to really. My friends, his horses were in North America. Many of you know this, millions of years ago. But somewhere between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago, horses in North America went extinct. It was probably because people were driving around and the global warming got them or whatever. Climate change, you know how that goes. But yes, I know. Yeah. But anyway, the horses became extinct. And I love the way she says and. She says it's like 2 syllable. And. When the horses in America became extinct, they were gone. They were done. No more horses in America. Now, without horses, there are no cowboys. We know that, right? So, how did horses and cowboys happen? Spanish conquistadores, including Hernan Cortez, who, if we go back in the Roots version of Roots, might even be somehow related to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. There's a little chance, maybe. But Hernan Cortez, in the year 1519, reintroduced horses to the mainland of the United States of Americas. And where did the horses get their start and rebooted? In Mexico. I think the Mexicans would like to, the Mexicans, if they studied history, and many of them probably know more than she does, would say, yes, the Spanish brought the horses here, hence the cowboys. Marco Rubio was exactly right. And these Spanish horses, often of Iberian heritage, escaped, some of them, and quickly adapted to the new environment. By the 1600s, the horses that the Spaniards brought over, and some of the escaped horses, were as far west as Wyoming, Kansas, New Mexico, which wasn't New Mexico back then, but it's New Mexico now. And they were already integrating horses into their to the cultures in these towns. Tribes like the Comanches, the Ute, became key in trading and spreading horses through the Great Plains. Spanish horses formed wild herd known as what? Mustangs. Long before Ford ever heard of them. Mustangs. From where? The Spaniards. These horses revolutionized life for the Native Americans, not for the indigenous slaves, unfortunately. Well, they did, use them in involuntary work, but they certainly weren't running around in great numbers slaving cowboys. That didn't happen. You had a few. Now, in many tribes, horses became the signs of wealth and prestige. Some tribes, like the Choctaw, by the way, I have Choctaw blood, had deep and early connections with the horses. Later, the British and the French brought more horses over here. And that created a genetic diversity that was even greater in American herds of horses. By the mid-1800s, a mere 200 years later, the horses were everywhere in the West. They must have been doing it like bunnies, because they spread like wildfire, so to speak, everywhere. So, Marco Rubio was right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not so much. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also had other remarks overseas. Cut 2. And she is going to explain to us whiteness. Here you go.
Very big difference between whiteness and national, like your actual culture, right? Whiteness is an imaginary thing. Being German is real. Being Italian is real.
Wait a minute. Stop right there. Wait a minute. Carlos, find a white guy around there. There's got to be some white guy walking the floor. I just got to ask a white person, whether it's a guy or a gal. Anybody white. Anybody. Let's find a white person real quick. We need a white person. And get ready to start that over again. Okay? Let me know when we have a white person secured by the mic.
Why, hello. I'm a resident white person.
Okay, white person. I have a question for you, white person.
Yes.
I need you to listen to a clip. And I need you to affirm what I'm hearing here because it came as a stunning surprise to me.
Well,
it is to represent. Yeah, we got another white person here. We can maybe find out from both of them. Okay, this is important. White, and thankfully they're guys. I don't say thankfully because we discriminate against women. I'm just saying because I got a second clip now that we have more than one white guy here. We have white people here. Okay, play it.
There's a very big difference between whiteness and national, like your actual culture, right? Whiteness is an imaginary thing. Being German is real. Being Italian is real. Being English. These are rich cultural heritages that are based on values, and they are so much a part of what make our cultures and our societies what they are.
Okay, white person, number one white person, is your whiteness imaginary? Do you imagine that you are white?
No. I mean, I think it's very apparent. I wear it on my face every day. And the stuff that she's talking about, I think, has to do more with, like, ethnic background. But I just find it really rich to hear those comments because all we ever hear about from the political left is POC from AOC, person of color, people of color. And it's a catch-all term. And they'll also say, oh, you hate brown people. Oh, you hate black people. Black lives matter, not all lives matter, that type of stuff. So it's just very rich that she would have some sort of objection to the concept of whiteness, which, it's fine. I think the whole concept of making a big deal about race is pretty silly anyway. But she's got no problem when it's the POC, but she does when it's white.
Okay. White person number two. Is white person number two there?
Yep, white person number two is here.
Okay. Is your whiteness imaginary, white person number two?
I don't think it is. I think James said it more eloquently than I could have. I don't think it's imaginary.
It's not. Okay. Now, since we're on the topic of whiteness, imagined or not, I want you to hear another highly esteemed voice. This one not from the political world, but from the media world. His name is, well, aside from his extracurricular activities invading people's worship services, he is also in the media world. His name is Don, and cut 13, and this is Don.
Men who look like you, men who vote like you, and men who sound like you. White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence. Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
Are you in the back or are you in the front, white person number one?
Are you ordering us to the back?
No, no. You can sit where you want to. No, we're good. But I just want to make sure, because if you were in the back, I wanted to make sure you heard him.
I think we heard it. Yeah.
Okay. Are you broken?
Mentally, you'd have to talk to some of my colleagues here to get down to the bottom of that. But yeah, I think that in some ways, this whole argument over race is broken because it's just so stupid.
Okay, thank you. White person number two, white man number two. Are you broken, and do you not like to talk about fear and other stuff when you react to fear with violence because you're a broken human being?
You know what, Bo? Hearing Don Lemon say that really put me in a position where, hearing as a white man, even though my whiteness doesn't exist, as a white man, hearing a black man say that puts me I feel scared hearing that. And it makes me really want to commit acts of violence hearing that because of my whiteness.
But that's imaginary.
Oh, that's true. It doesn't exist, so never mind. Yeah. Avoid that. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm not broken anymore.
It's just a beige rage.
Well, white person number one and white person number two, we thank you so much for helping us clarify these dramatic and profound statements from some of the leaders in both the political and the media world. James Golden Snerdley, keep it right here. Do not go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
You know, we look at what happened in Venezuela, for example. It is not a it is not a remark on who Maduro was as a leader. He canceled elections. He was an anti-democratic leader. That doesn't mean that we can kidnap a head of state and engage in acts of war just because the nation is below the equator. And by the way,
ladies and gentlemen, I know many of you already know this, most of you. Venezuela is not below the equator. So in addition to not really having a great knowledge about history, there's something lacking here with geography as well. And this was on the world stage in Munich, Germany. And we all know that the Germans are pretty precise, right, if we're going to go with stereotypes. So, and I wonder how this is being covered in the press over there. Her big debut on the world stage, and between the word salads and the lack of knowledge about basic historical and geographical items, well, anyway, look, she's ours. I mean, in the United States of America. And she did go to public school. And we'll be back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Y'all need to wake up. If you don't know by now, did you know ICE has warheads? Did you know this? Did you know ICE has warheads? And you know the only place that ICE can use these is on American soil? Where? Did you know that? Did you know that? So that means that sorry-ass mother in the Oval Office plans to use these warheads on American soil, on American citizens. Y'all need to wake the up to this. Now, I've had it. If you all don't see what the problem is this, you are the disease of this country. And may God have mercy on your soul when all this show is over. So what the I said.
ICE has warheads, and they're going to use them on Americans. Oh, no. Oh, no. James Golden, Snerdley with you here, this fastest hour in American media. Marco Rubio, who actually did... Now, by the way, thank you, Princess Diana, and thank you, Lady Benedict. I ask questions, they give me answers. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, vast fountain of knowledge, graduated from Yorktown High School, Yorktown Heights, New York. It is in Westchester County. Now, I don't know whether Yorktown is part of the greater Whitelandia area of Westchester. I mean, Whitelandia, where Hillary and Bill live. Chappaqua, for instance, is Whitelandia. It's Whitelandia because most of the time, and there are some exceptions, well, back in the day at least, before Trump came and there were more, black billionaires and multimillionaires before that, the only people that most black people up in Whitelandia, were, how shall we say, in the service industry. Whitelandia, New York, like Chappaqua, where Hillary and Bill settled down because, they didn't want their kids going to jungle schools. Oh, that's right. She had already graduated from a prestigious school. Anyway, up in Whitelandia, the way that you got kept out wasn't, if you could afford the $1 million house, whatever the houses are, you could not afford the taxes. I remember once, just for S and giggles, you know what that means, just for S and giggles, I went and looked at a house up in Whitelandia. And this was back in the 80s. And the taxes on this place were like 36 G's a year. And that was in the 80s. And it wasn't like, anyway. Why am I saying this? Because adjacent to Whitelandia and the rest of Westchester County are great supposed schools. They're supposedly the best schools in New York. And here you have a representative of the United States, high profile, who has no clue about geography, apparently, who has no clue about the history of the United States, Mexico, and Spain. When we went to public school, we learned about Cortez. We learned about a lot of people in school. Cortez, the conquistadors. We even learned stuff about the Inquisition. And, St. Augustine, first American city, and all that, the Spanish, the influence of the Spanish. And Miss Cortez, who says whiteness is not real, doesn't even seem to know the history of Spain, America, Mexico. So what are you people up in Whitelandia and Westchester County? You probably need to check in and see what they are teaching kids in Yorktown High School in Yorktown Heights, or whether, as Tucker Carlson used to call her, Sandy from Westchester, because she wasn't Alexander, she was Sandy back then. Whether Sandy from Westchester is an aberration or not. Something's wrong here, clearly, with the lack of education. Now, Marco Rubio, who she tried to make a joke about that backfired on her big time was also in front of the press with the prime minister of, I think it was Slovenia. And man, here's a little clip from that presser I thought was really interesting. Cut number 4, Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Let me just make one more point, because I think you asked him a question in order to see if you can get him against us with something about, you criticize. A lot of countries didn't like what we did in Venezuela. That's okay. That was in our national interest. I'm sure there's something he'll do one day that we don't like, and we'll say, hey, we didn't like you did this. So what? That doesn't mean we're not going to be friends, we're not going to be partners, we're not going to be able to cooperate with one another. Countries express their opinion all the time. We have very close allies that didn't like what we did in that regard. I can tell you what, it was successful. We're proud of it. It was necessary, because the guy was a narco-terrorist, and we made him a bunch of offers, and he chose tore them out. And look what's happened in Venezuela in the 6 weeks since he's been gone. Okay, now it's got a long way to go. There's still much work that needs to be done, but I can tell you Venezuela is much better off today than it was 6 weeks ago.
Boom. I'd certainly say that Marco Rubio seems to know his stuff, doesn't he? Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard about the guy that unfortunately got deported because of Billie Eilish? He says. You heard about that? You heard about this guy? I'll tell you about him. He's an Australian guy. He publicly claimed that he planned to fly to Los Angeles. He did one of these GoFundMe things, but it was all a meme. He's a performance artist. He said he was going to fly to Los Angeles and move into Billie Eilish's $6 million Malibu home. He cited her remark that nobody is illegal on stolen land. He flew here. His statement to the press. Billie Eilish reported me to ICE and got me deported from the U.S. Honestly, I can't really be mad because it's kind of funny. But basically, I was joking online. I was going to fly to America, move into her mansion. Obviously, a meme. I get stopped by DHS and held for like 30 hours. Literally 30 hours. They're asking me, how do you know Billie Eilish? Do you intend to trespass? No, of course not, man. It's a joke. It was like a meme that I came with on Instagram. I got held for 30 hours and got deported. I get basically escorted onto a plane by armed guards, sent back to Australia. And I think it's actually amazing performance art. As a joke, I managed to get Billie Eilish, Hollywood celebrities, left-wingers, liberals to agree with ICE, to agree with border control. They suddenly support deportations because they don't like my memes. They don't like me as a person. This is just... Palavu is his name. It's just funny. And he says that Billie Eilish's lawyers actually compiled a dossier on him. The agents were asking him about his entire history as an activist opposed to Chinese government, whether he had ever plotted to assassinate Chinese Communist Party officials. He said the interview was insane. I suffered from my art online as an online SHI poster. I was victimized and martyred by Billie Eilish. But he claims it's a victory because he actually got Billie Eilish to support ICE. Amazing. All right, let's turn to later in the week. We're gonna have Connie Hare back with us at some point during the week. Also, we're gonna have a treat. I'm gonna hold on to that one for a little bit later. But for those of you, I promised last week, Tom Bond is supposed to join us later in the week too. We had an economic question that came up on the Saturday extravaganza, and I said we're going to ask Tom Bond to answer this. So hopefully we're going to do that later in the week too. You know, the SAVE Act is still up for discussion, and to quote our friend Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Senator Chuck Schumer was on CNN with Jake Tapper, cut 5, and And after that, I'm going to do my own version of Crossfire. I'm going to bring on a guest to respond and to Chuck Schumer. So here we go.
About 83% of the American people, including majority Democrats, support voter ID laws.
Well, yeah, the voter ID laws, first, each state can have its own voter ID laws, and some do and some don't. But secondly, what they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0. They make it so hard to get any kind of voter ID that more than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. We will not let it pass in the Senate. We are fighting it tooth and nail. It's an outrageous proposal that is, that shows the sort of political bias of the MAGA right. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
20 million people not going to be able to vote. You believe this? All right, we have a response. This is a social media black dude. Cut 8. And he has a response for Chuck Schumer with the idea that black people, it's going to be too hard for black people, poor people to get ID and to vote. Here he is.
I've been black and American my whole life. And I don't know one black American who doesn't have a photo ID. Never met one. Of all the people who would need ID, it will probably be black people who don't want to be harassed by the powers that be, right? This goes all the way back to my great-grandmother, Mama Lottie. She even has her ID, or had her ID when she was here, in order to vote. So when I see these Democrats get on TV and fearmonger about Jim Crow 2.0 because they want to require that citizens show their ID at the polls, it makes me wonder, why wouldn't you want people to show their ID at the polls? But the excuse they use is that this will disenfranchise black people for some reason. What black person don't have a goddamn ID or driver's license in the United States of America who's an American citizen and is moving and shaking? That's all of us. We can't move in this without an ID.
Hey,
so when they get on TV and they say, oh, this is going to disenfranchise black people, it's insulting to me. It's insulting to the intelligence because it's a blatant attempt to replace demographics over here with foreigners who don't have a right to vote. Because why would it be a problem to show your ID in order to vote in the national elections here? We're talking about the Electoral College. There's over 10 states in this country that don't require a photo ID. So it makes you wonder about some of these elections. Who's voting in these elections if y'all don't require an ID at the polls? Anybody can just come over here willy-nilly and say, I want this person to be the president because they're going to benefit me. Or I want this person to be a state representative because they're going to benefit me with this fraud and continuously taking from the pot that we all pour into. No, we should have ID in this country in order to vote, just like you would in any other country. Why is that an issue? Because there's one side of this country that wants to replace foundational black Americans, black people, with the demographic of people who they will enslave mentally far longer than they have been able to do with us. And they've had us for a good 70 years. But we're starting to wake up and see that that party does not represent us. They represent their interests. And at this point, their interest is to replace black Americans with other. Because why would there be a problem with having a photo ID? So whenever y'all get on here and y'all hear that brainwashing, gaslighting propaganda about Jim Crow 2.0, just remember that every black person that's in this country alive today does have photo ID.
Hey. Who didn't listen to that? Folks, I hope none of that leaked through. I think Carlos was quick-fingered enough. We had a few F-bombs dropped there and a few GDs and things like that. Oof. He's mad, but he's right. James Golden Snerdley, fastest hour in American media, continues. Don't go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's James Golden.
So in today's episode of being a slave to capitalism, because I live in the United States, my back is thrown out. I can't move without pain. I'm on my feet a lot at my job, but I can't call out because I took a day off for a wedding. Well, I planned one in a few weeks. And then in a few months, I'm going to Iceland, so I have some vacation in for that. I can't call out today or it'll ruin my life because I don't have the hours to be a human being with, you know, medical issues. So, America, honestly, just fuck them. And just to add to that, this injury is from when a patient attacked me almost 2 years ago, and it's just reoccurrent. Every so often, I just get a back spasm that takes a little while to go. So, yay for being a nurse.
I can't keep doing this. Like, what the is even going on? Everything that's happening and having to still go to work every day and pay bills and rent and stress about money and go to work and pretend like everything is normal. It's not normal. And I don't know how much longer I can do this. It's like eating me from the inside out. Why aren't we doing something? What the
Why are we doing something? Work is terrible. It's a capitalist system. I'm a slave. Oh, I'm going to Green. I have vacation. I thought I'd just give you some, those of you that are working today. There are people out there like you who are working, but they're complaining about it. Well, they have to work, and they're complaining about it. If you're off enjoying President's Day, good for you. At least you are not a slave to capitalism on this fine day. It's amazing. Oh, he's leaving us. Carlos picked our going out song today. It's Michael. Has nothing to do with the Epstein files, we think. PYT, written by James Ingram. Co-written by James Ingram. James Ingram has a heavenly birthday today. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing. We're back tomorrow for Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.